Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to explain about AWS API Gateway. So, firstly, let's see what are the topics we are going to cover this in this video. So, what is API Gateway? So, key features of API Gateway, types of API supported, key components of API Gateway, and overflow of the API, and what are the common use cases of API Gateway and advantages and the pricing. So firstly, let's see what is API Gateway, AWS API Gateway. So AWS API Gateway is a fully managed service provided by Amazon Web Service. So that allow developers to create, publish, maintain, monitor, and secure API at any scale. So imagine you're building an application or website so that need to talk to other systems like databases or servers. So API gateway act as a intermediate between the all these interactions. So it makes sure all the requests to and from your application are handled securely, efficiently, and reliably. So it act as an interface between your application like clients and your backend services, enabling smooth communication between them. So it works like a translator or manager for the different services and ensuring they communicated properly. Now let's see key features of API gateways. Firstly, a managed API hosting. So you don't know, no need to worry about setting up or managing servers to your APIs. So AWS API Gateway will take care of everything. So your API are always up and running. So it's like a renting a fully furnished house. So you just move in and use it. Second one is security. So the AWS API Gateway protect your APIs from the unauthorized access by offering the tools like authentication, rate limit, encryption. So authentication like ensuring only authorized users can use your APIs. So rate limiting like prevents a system from the being overloaded by too many requests and the encryption. So it will keep data safe and it travels between your application and the servers. Third one is monitoring and analytics. So the API gateway track your API are used and how well they perform. So it collect the data about the how many users are accessing your APIs and how fast your API respond and if there are any errors. Fourth one is integration with other AWS services. So the API gateway works seamlessly with the other AWS tools like Lambda functions to run your code and S3 bucket to store your files and DynamoDB for the database. Fifth one is development support. So the API gateway provides the tools make your life easier as a developer, like ready-made templates to create a API faster and support for testing your APIs before going to live. So it's like after that, sixth one is customizable and flexible. So you can design your API the way you want, and you can add custom features to meet specific needs. So if you want to route request differently for the different user, you can, and if any need APIs multiple versions, it support that too. Now let's see what are the API types which AWS API going to support. So firstly, the REST API. So the REST API is a traditional web service with HTTP methods like a get, post, and put or delete. So it's a fully managed with the features like API keys, usage plans, and caching. Uh, the second one is HTTP API. So it's a lightweight and lower cost alternative to REST APIs. So it is suitable for the services requiring low latency and fewer advanced features. And third one is WebSocket API. Designed for the WebSocket APIs is designed for the real-time or two-way communication, useful for the applications like chat apps or gaming and the live notifications. So, like that, the API, the AWS API will support different types of APIs. So you can use it which API you want. Now let's see what are the key components of AWS API Gateway. So firstly, API. So the main entity representing a collection of resources and methods. Uh, the the main entity in the API gateway that organize everything. Think of it like a blueprint for your application. So that defines how user can interact with your backend. For example, your API might manage user accounts or process orders. The second one is resources, path segments that define the structure of APIs. Example like users or orders. So, the building blocks of an API representing a different part of the data or functionality. So, each resources has a path that look like a folder structure, like user forward slash orders. So, here the users. So, user might represent the user data, and the order might be represent the purchase orders. And the third one is methods. So HTTP methods like get, post, and they're associated with the resources. So the actions like user can perform on the resources based on the HTTP verbs. So like get, post, put, and delete. So for example, a get method request for the users retrieve information, while post uh, to orders place a new order. And fourth one is stages. Represent different version of your API. Example like V1, V2 or staging production. So it's represent a different version of environment of your API. So like staging for the testing before the releasing changes, and the production for the live or the real world users. So versions like V1, V2 to represent the older or the new version of your API. And the fifth one is integration concept. Sorry, connect the API gateway to the backend service like Lambda functions or HTTP endpoint. So it helps to link your API gateway to the backend service where the actual work happens. So it could be a AWS Lambda function to run the code, or an HTTP endpoint that connects the web server. uh, Caching. So store API response in a cache to reduce latency and backend loads. So temporarily store the API response to repeat the request. Don't need to fetch fresh data from the backend every time. So this make API faster and reduce the load on your backend. And the seventh one is authorizers. So handle authentication using the AWS Lambda or the Amazon Cognito. So it helps to control who can access your API using authentication tools like Lambda Authorizer or the Lambda Cognito. So example like before allowing the someone to place an order, so an authorizer ensure they're logged in your user. Now let's see how the AWS API gateway will work. So firstly, client request. A client like web applications or mobile application make a request to an API gateway endpoint. So the user applications like mobile application, web application, or any device send a request to the API. So the request is sent to an API endpoint, which is like a main entrance for your API. And the second step is routing. So API gateway routes the request to the appropriate backend services like AWS Lambda or HTTP endpoint. So API gateway look like a request and figure out where it need to go. So it then route the request to the correct backend services. It could be in AWS Lambda function to run your code, or an HTTP endpoint, a server or database. So example, if a request is a products, the API gateway might route it from the Lambda function that retrieves the product data. And the third stage is processing. Handles tasks like a request validation, transformation, throttling, and the authentication. So once API gateway take care of several tasks before sending the request to the backend, such as validation, transformation, throttling, authentications, like that. So validation like ensure the request has a required information like a proper formatting or needed credentials. So transformation means modifies the request if necessary. So for example, changing the format like that. So, and throttling means limits how many requests can be sent to prevent the overloads. And the authentication means check if the user has a permission to access the API or not. And the fourth stage is response. Return backend's response to the clients. So once the backend finishes processing the request, it sends the response back to the API gateway. So API gateway then forward the response to the client. So for example, the backend sends a list of products and the API gateway deliver it to the shopping application. Now let's see what are the common use cases of the AWS API gateway. Firstly, serverless application. Combined with AWS Lambda, API Gateway can create a scalable, cost-effective, and the event-driven serverless application. So the API Gateway works with the AWS Lambda to create application that automatically scalable, save cost, and work based on the specific event or the trigger. No need to manage the servers. And the microservices architecture. So act as a front door to the microservices running on the AWS. So it acts as a single entry point for the various smaller independent services like microservices running in the AWS. So making it easier to manage and secure them. And the third one is a real-time application. Support real-time applications, example like a WebSocket APIs for chat and the live notification and the collaboration tools. And so the API gateway support the real-time features like live chats, instant notification, or collaborative tools by using the WebSocket APIs. So which keeps continuous connection with the users. And the fourth one is API monetization. So offer a user plan and API key to monetize API by charging consumers based on the usage. So it helps the business earn money from their API by setting usage limit and charging users based on the how much they use the service. And the fifth one is a hybrid application. Connect the premises on-premises systems with the cloud-based systems using API gateway as an intermediary. So The API Gateway allows business to connect their local system on premises with the cloud-based system, so enabling seamlessly interaction between both. Now let's see what are the advantages of the AWS API Gateway. So firstly, scalable and highly available. The API Gateway can handle the growing number of users and traffic without crashing. So to ensure your application always up and running. So even during the high demand. The second one is reducing operational overhead. So you don't need to manage servers or worry about infrastructure. So AWS will take care of the backend maintenance, so you can focus on your application. For third one is robust security and monitoring features. So it include a built-in tool to protect your application from the attacks. So it control who can access them and monitor how they are being used. And the fourth one is the easy interaction with the other AWS services. So it works seamlessly with the other AWS tools like Lambda, S3, and DynamoDB, and it will making it easier to build powerful and efficient applications. Now let's see what are the pricing, how the pricing works for the API gateways. So API gateway pricing depends on the number of API calls charged based on the number of requests processed. So you have to pay based on how many requests your application your API handles. So more API calls means higher cost. Data transfer costs are incurred for the data transferred out of the API gateway. So there is a charge for the amount of data sent out of the API gateway. So the large data or the more data sent, the higher cost. And the additional feature cost for caching custom domain names or usage plan. So if you use extra features like a charging, caching to speed up API response, and custom domains names or creating a special usage plans for your users. You have to pay extra for those. So in short words, you are charged based on how much you use it and any extra features you enabled. So in simple word, so the API is like a waiter in the hotel. So the application is like a customer, and the server is like a kitchen. So uh, here the application or the customer make a request for a specific information or a service, like the customer order the food. So the waiter is act as a middleman or the communicator between the application or customer and the server. So the API or waiter take the customer request like ordering food to the kitchen uh, is nothing but a server. So it fetch the result and bring it back to the customer. So the kitchen represent backend or the source. So where the actual work happens. So the server process the request and prepare the response like cooking food in the kitchen. Now let's dive into the practical thing. So for that, navigate to your AWS console. So in the console, firstly you need to create a Lambda function. So for that, go to Lambda. So in this video, I'm going to show you creating a Lambda function with the rest of REST API gateway. So here create a function. uh, Here I'm giving a hello world for the function name. So runtime, I'm going to select Python. So create function. So here you can see the function has been created. So scroll down. Here you can see the code of your Lambda function. So you can make a quick test. So make sure everything working fine. So create a new test event. So here give a name for the event test. So scroll down. Save and so after click invoke. Here you can see hello from Lambda. So the lambda function working perfectly. So now let's create the API to access the lambda function from the outside. So navigate to the search bar, type API Gateway. So scroll down. Here I'm going to choose REST API. So click build. So here give a name. I'm going to give my API. So you can give a name for the, or sorry, description for the API. So here click create API. Here you can see the API has been created successfully. So after that, so we need to create a resource. Create resource. So resource is a logical entity and it will add a small functionality for your API gateway. So it means it will add the path for your main URL. or base URL. So give a name, hello, and you need to select the cross original resource sharing option. So it will help to create an option method that allow all the origins or all the methods and several common headers. So create resource. So after creating a resource, you need to create a method. So here create method. So here select the lambda function, scroll down. So before that you need to select the method type. So I'm going to select a get method. So select the lambda function that is going to run your with the API gateway. So choose the lambda function. So this is the lambda function which we have created earlier. So set this. So create method. Here you can see the method has been created. So now the API is ready to deploy. So here deploy API. So we need to select a stage and you can give a name for the deploy. So I'm going to give test. So click deploy. So deployment successful. So scroll down. Here you can see it is the base URL. So copy this URL. So go to new tab and click on. So like here we got missing authentication token. So for that because we need to give the path. So the resource path, that is hello. Here you can see hello from lambda. So this is how you can set up the API gateway with the lambda function. So you don't need to worry about the setup in the infrastructure. So the AWS will take care of everything. So the AWS API Gateway and the AWS Lambda so work together to create and handle serverless APIs. Uh, and the AWS will allow you to build highly scalable and cost-effective and flexible API without the need of the traditional servers. So thank you guys for watching this video.